Okay, 2:03. I think we can begin. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. Great presentation on making local law 97 compliance as easy as possible. Really great presenters. We have Zaid from Carbon Clear, CEO and co-founder. And for anyone at the top just wanting to know, this presentation is being recorded, and a copy of the presentation and slide deck will be made available after the presentation. Let's go forward and talk first about the agenda. So first of all, we're going to go through some brief introductions. We're going to talk about filing with Carbon Clear. We'll hear from Zaid and his team. We'll talk some local law filing updates, still very relevant and important to keep up to date on those. Steam system retrofits. We'll go over some case studies and then open it up at the end for a Q&A session. So first about us, BES, Building Efficiency Services. We help service high-rise multifamily and commercial buildings, steam system upgrades and retrofits. We have electrification solutions as well. And we run the gamut with local law compliance, 97, 87, 84. Also with the GAS 152. We'll talk about that more a little bit later. We've upgraded over 300 New York City buildings and serviced over 70,000 radiators. We are participating contractors with New York City Accelerator, Con Ed, National Grid. With us also presenting today is Zaid from Carbon Clear. Carbon Clear is a platform and really fantastic. We work together with them. A really great team over there. They use AI to streamline the filing process, and they save us about 70% on time-wise, just organizing and getting our filing in on time. Of course, we're dealing with a lot of buildings throughout New York City right now, filing both their 97 and 88, and Carbon Clear really helps up. We'll hear from them shortly. So I'm going to ask Zaid to come up. Zaid, you want to join us? And I'm going to stop sharing, Zaid, so you can share your screen, okay?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to walk you through how Carbon Clear is helping teams simplify their compliance workflows, and really excited to showcase a real-world example with our partner BES. So as we go through the session, feel free to drop any questions into the chat box. Chris, who's heading our operations, will be keeping an eye on them. And if we don't get everything during the live Q&A at the end, we'll make sure to follow up with you afterwards. So with that, if you can just go back a slide. All right, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. So I'm Zaid, co-founder and CEO of Carbon Clear. We're a platform built to help real estate owners and service providers stay ahead of carbon compliance with as little friction as possible. So we're looking for a minimal lift on your end. So think of us like TurboTax, but for filing building emissions codes. Next slide. So these emission codes that I'm referring to and that we're dealing with are really part of what's called Building Performance Standards, BPS. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with them. And so many cities, including New York City, have started rolling out these strict carbon emission policies, or BPS. So building codes like Local Law 97, Boston's BERDO, Maryland's BEPS, just to name a few. And they're only getting tougher over time. So with bigger fines for building owners that don't comply. That's sort of setting the stage. And next slide, Ari, please. And so this is the first year NYC is officially enforcing Local Law 97. It was passed in 2019, and this is the first year it's actually being enforced. And it's already becoming clear that compliance can get complicated fast, right? So you're dealing with different building types, multiple compliance pathways, changing rules, extensions, and all sorts of edge cases. So there's a lot to navigate. Next slide, please. And so that's where Carbon Clear comes in, right? Our platform helps you manage the entire process in one place in real time. So without having you to jump between, different tools, spreadsheets, government portals, really a lot of in-house processes that we've seen many of our customers use. Next slide. So here's just a simple sort of infographic of how it works. And then later I'll actually provide we'll go through a product demo to show you how it looks. But simply speaking, what we're doing is we're ingesting building data, usually in the form of building plans. So think architectural drawings in PDFs or AutoCADs, handwritten notes, so audit site visit notes that could be handwritten, and utility bills, PDF or directly through an API. We're ingesting that building data. Our AI agent, as well as our team of engineers, are reviewing and finding any discrepancies quickly. So we're offering some of that QA/QC, and then we're auto-populating the compliance forms necessary in an automated way, which I'll also walk you through a demo of how that looks. And then we integrate directly with the different submission platforms. So if you're in New York City and you've completed a local law 97 or 88, you'll know the process, payment on DOB, and then submitting the filing on Beam. So those are the different sort of integration portals that I'm referring to here. Okay, next slide. Let's see if you can play that. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. So this is a demo from a user's perspective. So this is BES. If you want to think of them, they're logging in. As soon as they log in, they land in a centralized dashboard, and this gives them sort of this easy overview of their entire portfolio. So all their properties, their deadlines, extensions, the status of their filings, all in one place. And the onboarding to add the new property is really simple. You can look up a building either by address or BIN or BBL. And what we're doing for NYC is we currently support the two filings, local law 97 and 88. So in this case, we're going to go through the workflow of a 97 filing. We'll click on that. At the top, you'll see this customized workflow based on that compliance pathway. So familiar steps, but the very first step, this is a market rate 320 building. So the steps are clearly outlined, and we just walk the users through everything. So connecting from ESPM, uploading the appropriate GFA documentations, completing the attestations, where we've built in these different features so that it's a quick click to sign. So in this case, this would be the attestation form that you're familiar with, and a quick signature there. When they click submit, that's it. That's sort of the end of the process from a user's perspective. They're kind of done with their filing, and then we take over the rest and we keep it moving. So users can now track every filing with timestamps, all from the dashboard. And however long that took, maybe a minute or so, that's pretty much how much time it would take to do a filing, assuming you have the documentations in order and you're uploading documents and just sort of following the steps to that stage. And so in the next slide, I'll show you what we do on our end. And so if you go to the next slide. So in this video, I'll walk you through what we do on our end. So once the user submits everything, we review the documentation and prepare for the submission in this sort of automated way. Again, we want to be able to scale this process and keep everything accurate. So for this specific building that we're looking at, a 594 Riverside, it's a prescriptive pathway, a 321 pathway. And so what we're doing here is we're checking that the attestations are signed, that the 13 prescriptive measures are in compliance, the template is uploaded as per the policy. And you can think of this step as sort of the executive summary report, where we have a human review it and make sure that the numbers are making sense and everything is in order. And so once everything sort of checks out, we can go ahead and run the code on our end. And so we do that. The very first step that we're doing here is we're just verifying that the property we're filing for is correct, is the correct property. So if you've done a couple of these, you'll know that there's a lot of data points to cross-reference with the address and the BIN and BBL. So we want to make sure we're cross-referencing them. So in this case, it's a 594 Riverside. on the BIS, it says it's a range from 594 to 596, so that's good. It's within that range. And then we've also matched the bin in BBL. So we know we're working with the right property here, which is which is cross-referenced with bin. So once everything looks good, we begin the filing process. And what that means is we continue to run the code. And this takes us directly to the BEAM ticket that's relevant to this filing. So this is a compliance report 321. So everything has been pre-populated almost automatically, instantaneously, pre-populated to the BEAM ticket. Even the document has been uploaded, the template has been uploaded, and we'll go through all the different prescriptive measures that match what's showing on the platform itself. So all of it is showing as compliant, and so it's pre-populated the same way on the BEAM ticket. And finally, the final step here is to input and copy the DOB confirmation number to match the filing. And so in this case, we're taking it directly from the confirmation ticket so that we're not leaving any room for any human error with any manual typos entering that DOB confirmation. So our team will do a final review, make sure everything is correct and complete. And once everything looks good, we'll just go ahead and click submit and submit the filing on BEAM. So with this process, we're able to handle a lot more filings per day, up to 1,000 filings per day, all accurately and at scale. So this is just one example of how we've automated the process. Thanks, Ari. The next slide, please. Great. So now let's walk you through a real example of how Carbon Clear is being used today. So this one's about BES, a forward-thinking group that's really tapped into the platform to meet the new compliance demands. I think we're all familiar with BES, but in case you're not, highly capable and technical team. Local Law 97. If you go to the next slide, please, Ari. Yeah, and the next slide. Right, but with Local Law 97, it's going into effect, right? They're facing a huge surge in demand from clients. A lot of buildings need fast and reliable guidance. And so BS has to respond in a way, and they do that by using Carbon Clear, take their existing team and really drive efficiency within their existing resources. So they become a high efficiency compliance engine that's able to scale to meet the new demands. Next slide, please. And so the use case here, I'd like to highlight just a couple of things that are really important. And so we work very closely with Penina Nickerson, who's the project coordinator. And there are a couple of bullet points that I kind of want to highlight. With respect to a centralized compliance management system, what that really does is now they can manage multiple buildings, contact stakeholders, and there are many of them, right? You have your owners, you have your property administrators, your managers, your RDPs. So instead of using a spreadsheet sprawl, everything is sort of centralized in one dashboard, and that really allows for easy communication. They have a full filing history and audit trail, so they can maintain a clean, searchable record of past and current filings for transparency and peace of mind. I think that is another sort of touch point. But the one I'm most excited about is that the best part is that they've really set up themselves for future filings, right? They've now connected all the data, the integrations have already been established. So year on year, they have a track record of where the baseline was for their clients in previous years, all in one central location. And it becomes a very repeatable process year over year. It's the same as sort of starting from scratch, as opposed to integrating everything and sort of pressing a refresh button and carrying on from all the work that was done the year before. Okay, great. Next, Ari. And so in terms of impact, what this means, Ari touched on the 70% earlier, and here's what, again, BS told us about the impact, in their words, not ours. They've doubled their capacity in terms of handling the filings. That's very important. And they're also become half as dependent on agencies for support. So agencies like the DOB or other agencies to kind of support, they're less back and forth. There's less dependence there, and they can act more and be a little bit more swift. They've cut down on emails and back and forth with building owners, which again saves a lot of time. And that's very, very important to hear and critical for us in terms of what we're trying to do. And so the reason this matters the most is because we're aiming for Carbon Clear not only just to be a more organized process for our users, but we really want it to be a tool that actually drives efficiency. So in other words, our goal is to make sure the time and money you save with Carbon Clear is well worth the subscription fee of using Carbon Clear. And that's the key aspect. So cutting time and costs is a very, very key metric that we're looking for. Thanks, Ari. Next slide. Yeah, and one of the things we're mostly proud of is that Carbon Clear is only getting better, right? We're always sort of building alongside our partners like BES, who've been sort of instrumental in providing us sort of different edge cases, and we've really established a very good working relationship in terms of ideas and innovation and ways to scale this so that it's much easier, not only for BES, but really for the ecosystem as a whole. And so that's what we're really excited about, having that feedback loop system where we can iterate on the product and really, cut admin time across the board so that we can focus on what really matters, which is decarbonizing and driving energy efficiency to buildings. So just to give you, some examples, we were speaking to customers. Many of them had said, hey, chasing down building owners and getting attestations from building owners is a real time suck. What can we do about this? So we turned around and built a click to sign feature that's embedded and built into the platform. So now, as a user, you just go ahead and click. It sends an email directly to the building owner. The building owner receives an email where they can just literally click to sign, and they have their signature attested on the attestation form that the user can then go and download and submit on Beam. So everything is sort of saved. Another sort of feedback we heard from users was, hey, although it's in one central location, we'd still like to reference Beam and make sure things are moving, and just to cross-reference and check the actual Beam platform. So, which is a great idea for transparency and make sure that they're also doing their due diligence to make sure that the filing is moving forward. So we embedded those links into the process, not only the links to the status of the filings, but also any policies that have been changed are directly sort of linked so that the user can be up to date with any change of those policies. Finally, and maybe a third example, a lot of the users said, hey, this is great. We'd love to, broaden the scope and expand it to different team members so that it can be more collaborative. So we introduced sort of role-based permissions where things can move and get viewed without any risk of it being edited or changed in any way that could affect the quality of the compliance of the filing itself. So those are just some sort of examples of some of the features that we've built sort of as part of our feedback loop with our partners. Okay, next slide. Great, and so yeah, before we wrap up, I just wanted to share a few common mistakes we see and just sort of how to stay ahead of them. Obviously, the most common issue is a really simple one. It's a formatting issue. Originally, ESPM had their formatting issue where you could use the BBL, where you would include hyphens in the BBL numbers. That is no longer the case. If you want it to match your Beam, it needs to be without those hyphens. And so if you see the image on the right with the check mark, that's sort of the format you want your ESPM to look. We see this all the time. It's a very silly, common mistake that can be corrected, and it'll save a bunch of time. Now, if you're using our platform, we'll automatically flag that for you and say, hey, by the way, here's the formatting issue. We can go and change that. Go ahead and change that on ESPM so that we can connect. The second one is CBL disputes. We've done many of those. CBL disputes, I think, can be tricky. It's not always clear what documentation is needed. A lot of it, there are a lot of moving parts there, but it is important to follow the guidance closely. I think that way, if there's ever a dispute or if they're ever going back and forth between a specific policy, you'll have a clear paper trail to minimize those fines or complications down the line. So as long as you're sort of adhering to what's written, you're always going to be sort of on the right side of the discussion moving forward. So I think that's a very important too. The third most, I think the most underutilized tool is actually the Beam lookup tool. So whether you're using our platform or not, you can always check your property's emissions footprint directly on Beam. I think it's a really handy one. It's helpful. It's helpful to stay informed, and we definitely recommend using it. So that kind of wraps up our general insights. And thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully, there are a few useful tips in there to help you power through your current or future filings. Happy to take a few Q&As. I'm not sure if we have time for that. Ari, I'll let you kind of lead. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sade. So yeah, I mean,
Sure.
first of all, anyone take an opportunity and screen capture Zaid's contact. We'll have it at the end as well. You can get in touch and reach out to him directly. Really phenomenal team at Carbon Clear. We were neighbors in June at the New York City Accelerator Expo. Really good show that they put on, connected us with a lot of other providers and stakeholders and buildings, management companies, etc. And Zaid is just really super responsive. Our team is really in love with the platform. And like you said, it really helped increase our capacity at a time when there's a bottleneck right now. Everybody's trying to get their filing in, and it's really been a game changer. Thank you, Zaid. And
Appreciate it, Ari. Thanks.
yeah, sure. We'll hold some questions towards the end and give people a chance to chat them in or come up and open up their microphone. So let's move on for now. Let's talk a little bit about local law filing and a couple of things, general information that most of you are probably aware of already, but very good to review regardless. In June, of course, there was a big announcement right before that Accelerator Expo that there was going to be an extension for filing deadlines until the end of the year, provided you have filed for an extension by August 29th. So that was a big relief for a lot of buildings that are still middle doing their retrofits or their 13 prescriptive measures for Article 321. We can, of course, help with the extension. Zaid can as well. And, but make sure you get that extension in so you have until the end of the year. If you're unsure if you'll make that, it's basically an automatic approval for that extension. So really pays to, if you're unsure, to make sure you get that extension requested. Filing process. This is all kind of automated with the Carbon Clear platform. But if you are deciding to go it alone, you should just know that you really start at DOB now. Make sure you have a New York City ID, and you start paying. You start by paying for the filing fee. Make sure that you are connecting your Energy Star portfolio manager together with your Beam, and that will all connect with the email addresses that you used when you signed up. If you are signing up with Beam with a different email address than you have at DOB now, those will not connect. So make sure you use those same email addresses, and you have place for a couple. You have an owner's representative, and a service provider. So a couple of stakeholders can have access and help along with the filing. So some tips that we've encountered, again, you must first sign up at DOB now if you don't have a New York City ID yet, and you will pay over there. The Beam account must be created with one of the 3 addresses you used at DOB now. And the Energy Star portfolio manager has to be then connected with your DOB now and shared with Beam. If you are doing an Article 321 pathway, whether you're affordable building or a house of worship, connecting your Energy Star portfolio manager is not required, because you're going to be basically filing the full package directly through Beam. Zaid touched on CBL disputes. Now, if you're unsure, so we've done a couple of CBL disputes as well. There are basically a couple of kind of disputes. One will be like if your building was on the 2024 CBL list as an Article 321 building, and you prepared for the 13 prescriptive measures, that pathway, and then on the 2025 list, it showed up as Article 320. You need to file the CBL dispute and attach your DHCR, your REM roll, et cetera. Just prove that the building is in fact should be affordable housing, and then file as an Article 321 building. Do not wait for this to be resolved, because I'm sure there's a backlog of tickets at the DOB as well. We also did a different type of dispute. We actually had a building that was just about 23,500 square feet, so just under really that 25,000 square feet threshold. We actually filed the ticket through the BEAM. We got a response that, in fact, it will be removed from responsibility for local law 97. So it does take a few weeks, but they will get around to filing your dispute. If you believe you are responsible, but not yet clear on which pathway or which article to file under the one you believe is correct, and then they will solve it together with you if it turns out differently. Reporting platforms sync data overnight, which is an important thing. So you can't leave it all for the last day and think you're going to get it all in at one time. When you connect your Energy Star portfolio manager, you have to give that a day to sync together with Beam, et cetera. So leave some time that you begin this process and plan out accordingly. And of course, there's no separate filing fee for local law 88 if you are filing it together with local law 97 in 2025. This is the home screen of the Beam platform. Just thought I would share a screen capture of it. And this is the knowledge base, and also over here where you would open up your tickets, your CBL disputes, et cetera, over there on the left-hand side for a new ticket. And briefly about penalties. So if anyone's not familiar yet about this, good to briefly review it. Article 320 has both a monthly and an annual fine. If you haven't filed on time, if you haven't met the deadline for your filing, you're going to be fined monthly until that happens. And then annually, if you're over the emissions limit. And for Article 321, there's a $10,000 penalty for not filing, and $10,000 penalty for failing to comply. And importantly, the DOB maintains the discretion to assess this annually. So it's not like a one-off that, in the beginning when it first came out, it wasn't 100% clear. So there was thoughts maybe you would incur the $20,000 and be done with it, but it's actually potentially going to be an annual fine. So best to do what you can to make sure you're in compliance and filing this year. There are penalty mitigation opportunities. Basically, you're going to create a plan with a service provider and show a good faith effort that you're working to get this done in time. Maybe, things come up, you didn't have time to get projects done, especially projects maybe where there is a large potential rebate, energy incentive to be able to take advantage of. And that also has a process to get the approval for it. And if your project gets delayed a bit and you want to still make sure you're in compliance, there are penalty mitigation opportunities, and we can definitely have a conversation about your particular case. I want to move on to steam system balancing. And this is really what BES does. We're helping large buildings run their heating systems efficiently. There was a famous report by Urban Green Council put out in 2019 that identified that heating is the biggest utility expense and really also provides the biggest opportunity for savings, both on your operating expenses and also on carbon emissions throughout New York City. Common problems that we encounter, of course, now we're not in heating season yet, but very, very common problems during winter. Some apartments or some radiators are really overheated, and some are just cold. They're just not getting enough heat at all. The overheated ones are, of course, opening their windows, and that energy is completely being wasted. Opening windows in the winter, clanging and hissing pipes, leaky radiators. A lot of these solutions for these problems are included on the 13 prescriptive measure pathway for Article 321. That's master venting. TRVs will be on a two-pipe steam system building, not on a one-pipe really, unless there are documented complaints. But generally, larger buildings will require both the TRVs and the radiant barrier, steam trap repair as well. EMS, which is now very important to have not only on your boiler system to run it efficiently, but in-unit sensor controls, pipe insulation, boiler clean and tune, and just general steam system infrastructure upgrades. BES takes a comprehensive and a holistic approach to your steam system, and that's why when we finish a job, your system is running efficiently and you're saving on your carbon emissions and energy expenses. So briefly on some of these solutions, steam traps, of course, they need to be repaired or replaced every 3 to 5 years. TRVs are individual temperature controls in a radiator. Their energy savings are a lot more effective in larger buildings, two-pipe steam. Pipe insulation, orifice plates is something we've been doing a lot of lately, especially with NYCHA buildings, some larger developments. And what's amazing about orifice plates is because they're letting the correct amount of steam into each individual radiator, they eliminate the need to have to go into every single unit and every single radiator and repair or replace those steam traps. So it's a big maintenance savings down the road, and evenly distributes the steam throughout the building, letting in the proper amount into each radiator. And master venting allows the steam to move through the system, allowing the air to escape and letting the steam through correctly. BES has a turnkey solution when it comes to local laws. So we'll schedule a site survey with the building, and what you're seeing on the left-hand side is basically a chart of the 13 measures. So we will check off and show you where we're going to be proposing to do work because you're not in compliance yet, show you where you are currently in compliance. We'll propose the work and decide. Sometimes a building will have super on staff or maintenance crew that can fill out those measures. Other times, of course, we are offering our services as well. We'll also apply for and capture any incentives. A lot of times that can make a big difference on the project. We'll take a look at something like that in a case study. And then finally, the filing and submission. And we've been working together, of course, with CarbonClear to really speed up that process, which has been really phenomenal. We offer services with really all the local laws, and we'll talk about a little bit about 152 in just a moment. Our plumbing division, we have now had a plumbing division for about 2.5 years. Licensed plumbers, we are doing all kinds of plumbing repair, replacement, repiping, gas and sprinkler, sewer lines. We also offer maintenance contracts for buildings. They want to have someone on speed dial when they have any kind of issue in the boiler or in one of the units. And one of the things we do as well is, of course, local law 152 compliance. So with the local law 152, you're required to have your piping system inspected every 4 years by a licensed master plumber. We can handle the inspection, help you with any corrections of violations, and of course, filing the paperwork as well. Briefly, a couple of case studies. So here is a Queens oil fuel building, pre-war building, 53 units. The one interesting thing about oil fuel buildings is that there aren't as many energy rebates available for them. They can get some with the electric, but most of the incentives are offered through the utility companies, which are really providing gas and electric. So with oil, there aren't as many, but also we came in and helped them with their local law 97, 13 prescriptive measures. They saved 3,100 gallons and 15% in their energy reduction. Here's a project that we really worked with both ends on the incentive side and on the financing side, and it really made a big difference. So this particular project, we're just actually wrapping it up now in Hell's Kitchen in New York City. They faced three particular issues: wanting to comply with local law 97. They had to repair or upgrade three elevators to comply with New York City's 2027 requirements. And then, of course, financing the project. It's over a $2 million project. We recommended orifice plates to eliminate the future need for steam trap repair and maintenance, and as well as the additional energy saving measures. So first of all, the incentive right away was a 26% reduction in the project cost, which was pretty substantial, $594,000. Then when it moved on to the financing side, we brought the client a couple of different financing options. And if they would have financed the balance of the project, they'd be looking at, let's say, 24 months at 2.63%, which is still a phenomenal rate. A lot of banks now are, 7.5%. But then option two was if they had some cash upfront to bring to the project and they basically financed the cap of a special Con Ed financing program, they can get 24 months at 0%. That saved an extra $14,000 plus a month and another 16% off the project cost. In addition to that, they're having a 19% energy reduction, which speeds up the ROI and the payback period. So BES has a lot of different options we can work with buildings and management companies on the incentive side and the financing side. New York City Housing Authority Patterson houses. We finished that one last year, 15 buildings, almost 1,800 units, two-pipe steam system. This was an orifice plate project as well. And the big savings for that, of course, is eliminating the need to switch out those steam traps every 3 to 5 years. We also did all the traps in the common area and help them prepare for their local law 97 compliance. Paperless reporting. These are actually screen captures of dashboards that we provided for NYCHA Patterson during the project. And this is real-time reporting that the client will receive. They can be following along with us anytime and seeing as the guys are doing, or our BES crews are doing work in the field. They're getting access to apartments. We have a very high success rate of getting access, working with tenants and management, and being able to complete the scope of work. This is updated in real time, and we are avoiding as much as possible using any kind of paper in the field. Going to now open it up for some Q&A. And while I do that, we're going to also put up contact information in case anyone has any question, anyone wants to contact that afterwards. Don't really see questions over here in the chat. If anyone wants to take the opportunity now and maybe open up your mic, please go ahead for Zaid or myself. Since we don't have any questions yet,
Ari,
Zaid, let me
looks like
yeah.
it looks like the chat is locked off, and it sounds like the attendees can't remove are muted.
Oh, really? Let me have a look. Let me see.
Or at least if one or two can.
Oh no, I see someone just typed in the chat
okay.
that they can do it. Let me see.
There we go.
See if we can look at people.
This might be mine then.
Oh, you're not able to chat, Zaid?
I'm not, but maybe I have a different sort of link. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Maybe since let me take the opportunity to ask you, because I know BES is kind of working as a provider together with you, and we're doing a whole lot of buildings. But what would you say to someone that has, let's say, one building or maybe two buildings or a very small portfolio? Like, what's your feeling on how Carbon Clear helps them and the efficiency they get from that? What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, it's a good question, and we do work with building owners who have an individual building or maybe a couple, and to that, the struggle there is twofold. One is that normally not energy experts, so that support with that transparency and that visibility in one platform is helpful. And then secondly, Local Law 97, as you know, isn't the only emission building codes available, right? There's Local Law 84, 97, 88, which we offer now, but many others. So once the really key aspect of Carbon Clear is that we're also connecting to their Energy Star portfolio manager. So anything that works on the back of that can also be applied to different building codes and make everything sort of centralized. So we've seen some value there for other building owners as well.
Right. Another thing you mentioned is that once they are basically onboarded, that if it's like an Article 320 building and it's going to be an annual filing, that how long is that filing and down the road of future years?
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's very repeatable. So Local Law 97 for market rate buildings must be filed on an annual basis. And so we have the integrations and connections set up. And so if there are any major changes to the building, that will need to be updated. But otherwise, if it's business as usual, it's a very simple refiling process.
Awesome. Okay, let's give maybe one more time. Anyone wants to unmute and ask a question, we're happy to answer. Of course, presentation is going to be recorded. We're going to send this out shortly with a copy of the slide deck. Screen capture the contact information up as well if you'd like. If we don't have any takers, let's just take a look at the chat one more time.
Hey, yeah, I actually have a question for you.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you mentioned the incentive saving that you were able to get from Con Ed for the Hell's Kitchen building, which was 25% of their project cost. I was wondering what you guys do to kind of help building owners figure out what upgrades they could do to achieve higher incentive rates, and then how you can help them in that process of achieving those incentives and rebates.
That's a really, really great question. So we have a team that basically are experts on the full gamut of available energy rebate incentive programs, both on the state and federal level. And it's really taking a look at the project and seeing what can be done, what needs to be done, and working out the best possible, let's say, package of incentives. So in some cases, it might be like an AMI comprehensive where you're counting points and making sure you reach that threshold to get like a certain dollar amount per unit. Sometimes it's, doing the individual prescriptive rebates. It really, really varies, but it starts with, let's say, getting a good holistic view of where the building is at and what the opportunities are, and then putting together a plan to really maximize those incentive dollars.
Thank you so much. That helps.
Yeah, sure. Reach out. We're happy to have a conversation about your particular building and, even maybe help guide you if you want to do those kinds of applications on your own. We handle, of course, the application, the post-inspection, the pre-inspection, et cetera. We do have a couple of comments here in the chat. Let me read them out. Would the Carbon Clear platform, this is from John, would the Carbon Clear platform help submissions navigate through the 13 prescriptive measures already walked through, or is this purely for DOB filing fees?
Yeah, I can take that. So currently, this is purely for compliance fees, but we would work closely with BES on that. So we would partner with BES for the 13 prescriptive measures, assuming that the building is non-compliant.
Okay. And then we have from Alan. Hey, Alan. I think, how you doing? So Alan's asking, is there concern that the EPA may discontinue support of Energy Star Portfolio Manager? And question 2, what might take its place and how would Carbon Clear work without ESPM?
Yeah, this is a good question and a hot topic for the industry. There's definitely some uncertainty around the continuation of Energy Star Portfolio Manager. what we've heard is that at least for this year, it's intact. And then next year, if there is any sort of defunding, there could be a substitute and replacement of that. If that is the case, then as Carbon Clear, we just integrate with them. At the end of the day, we would integrate with Energy Star Portfolio Manager or another database that replaces it, that builds that API connection the same way.
Great, great. Okay, everyone. Last call for a question. You can put it in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up and say our thank yous. We really appreciate you joining us. Thank you, Zaid. Awesome presentation. We are planning a lunch and learn event in August. Please look out for email. We're going to live stream it. Look out for your invitations to that. And as always, thank you for taking time out of your day. We'll send out the recording and the slide deck shortly. Please feel free to follow up with Zaid or myself with any questions about your particular building or project. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Ari. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.